game is just played. Come after me! I'm a man! I'm for you! Can't wait! Let's go!
Good morning and welcome. It is Coffee and Sports. It is the morning show powered by Sports Empire Network. Thank you so much for making us part of your morning routine, whether you are live on Facebook, live on YouTube, or maybe you're watching us live on Roku TV right now. We appreciate you being here. I am Chris, and of course, that over there, that is Mo. Mo, how are you this morning, sir?
Doing great. We're getting closer, so I'm just ready to go.
Closer. It was opening night last night for the Super Bowl. I didn't know they did this. I don't know if this is a new thing, but it was like the official start of Super Bowl week. There was a big event in Vegas. They announced all the teams. There was a bunch of press stuff done, and we are going to get into some of that right here today on the morning show. So we're going to start with Travis Kelce. Travis Kelce said last night at the opening event for Super Bowl week that you can't put a time stamp on how long he is going to play. Mo, Travis has, coming into this season, Travis's name has been linked with retirement rumors. He has always had ambitions, and he has vocally had ambitions for a life after football. That obviously has taken new life with his personal life, with Taylor Swift, with his notoriety in commercials, with the success of his podcast with his brother. There are definitely avenues for Travis once football ends. Oh, and let's not forget, he is in his mid-30s. So it's not like we're talking about somebody who is approaching 30 or just turned 30. He is in his mid-30s. He does play a position, not saying that not every position on the football field isn't a grind, but tight end has a lot of blocking. He takes a lot of wear and tear. He takes a lot of hits. He's double-teamed a lot. It's a lot of wear and tear on the body, as are most positions in the NFL. Also, it's worth noting, Mo, that let's not forget, because this seems to have taken a back seat a little bit, we're not talking about his brother anymore. His brother did kind of, sort of, maybe retire after the Philadelphia Eagles lost in the playoffs. Of course, He walked that back a couple of days later, and that's when these rumors came out that he didn't like the fact that it was leaked from the locker room, and that he was going to do it his own way, and that he was going to tie it potentially in with Travis. And maybe they were going to retire together. And immediately fans came out and were like, no. He might retire, but Travis is definitely not retiring. This is a Jason thing, not a Travis thing. Well, Mo, here we are, 6 days from the Super Bowl, and we haven't heard anything since after the Eagles game in regards to his retirement, which, if you ask me, what could he possibly be waiting on? The season is over. He's had time to reflect on it. The only thing that's left to happen in this NFL season is, the Super Bowl, the game his brother is playing in,
Correct.
The game that Travis would have to wait for it to be completed if he were going to announce his retirement. Again, not saying they're going to do it together, Mo, but it's interesting. It's interesting that Jason hasn't wrapped it up yet and made a decision or an announcement. It's interesting that Travis is making the comments that he is making. Regardless of whether Travis Kelce retires or not, Mo, the one thing that I want Kansas City Chiefs fans to take away from this is that it mostly has nothing to do with Taylor Swift. I'm sure maybe a little bit of it does. I think it would be naive to say that she has nothing to do in his decision-making process. Obviously, if you are romantically involved in somebody, they are going to be involved in the choices that you make in your life. So you would be naive to say that if he chooses to retire after the Super Bowl, This has nothing to do with Taylor. But Mo, let's not forget, he's lined this up for a couple of seasons now. He has set up his post-NFL career for a couple of seasons now. This was going to happen sooner rather than later, was it not?
It was. And look, you alluded to the fact that the Kelce brothers already have one of the fastest growing podcasts in the nation. Both of them, they have terrific outgoing personalities. And if you've ever listened to their podcast, and admittedly I have, they're very entertaining because when you hear them talk, no matter what the subject, you're getting their authentic self. Like you can tell that they don't have a script. They're very natural and easygoing with each other. Clearly, they're close. So it wouldn't surprise me, like you said, if maybe what they're waiting for is the completion of Travis's career. And that might be as simple as if he wins, maybe he walks off into the sunset and goes on to that next step with his brother wholeheartedly. Or if he loses, maybe he says, you know what, bro, I got to go back. I got to come back one more year. And maybe his brother goes, you know what? I haven't actually decided yet either. Maybe we both go back for one more season and try to meet in the Super Bowl or something like that because they'll feel like it's unfinished business. But his post-football career sets up nicely because of the connections and relationships that he's made, because of his personality. I think he's going to do well. I'm a big fan of his brothers. And I know a lot of people make a lot of the Taylor Swift connection. I'll stick to what you said. It's important because she's his significant other. And your significant other is your confidant. That's the person you talk to about what you're thinking about, where you're going to go career-wise. So I do think she has impact on how he thinks about his life outside of football, but no more than that. And I think that sometimes fans try to make it's almost like, well, Taylor's corrupted him and she's taking him away from us. Like he doesn't want to leave. And like you said, he plays a grueling position. And football is the most physical sport, but tight end, oftentimes you're in the scuttle. You don't line up on the outside often. And there is blocking involved. And he does receive a lot of double teams. And he catches a lot of passes over the middle, and there's a lot of punishment he has taken over the course of his career. And as great as he is, and you can make a case, he is the greatest tight end ever. I have no problem with that, but you can tell over the grind of this season, you can see he's slowing down a little bit. I'm not saying he still doesn't play at a high level, but he started to wear down. To his credit, once the playoffs started, it seemed like he got a second win. Right now, I would say that in the playoffs, Travis Kelce has been as good as his friend Patrick Mahomes. They both look at the top of their games. So look, I enjoy talking about guys like Kelce because I think they're great for the game. His outgoing personality is easy to relate to. And I think the Kelce brothers, they're always forward thinking. I don't think one has an idea without the other having a conversation with the other. So if he ends up retiring after the Super Bowl, it wouldn't shock me if they did it together.
Well, it's hard not to compare Travis Kelce on the precipice of his retirement to another great tight end in Rob Gronkowski.
Of course.
And when Gronk retired, even before he came back for Brady and then when he left after Brady again, the thought process with Gronk, because of his larger-than-life personality, because we knew a little bit about his family and his brothers, the idea was always Gronk is going to be set up once he leaves the NFL. And I'm not saying that he wasn't. I'm not saying that he didn't find success and that he's not still finding success outside of playing in the National Football League. But at the same time, I'm not sure if it would be fair to say that outside of the NFL, Gronk blew up the way that some people maybe thought outside of the NFL Gronk was going to blow up. Do you think it's going to be similar for Travis Kelce, or do you think that he might be better set up for life after football than Gronk was? Because they're different, right? Like,
for sure,
the energy that Gronk would bring to a situation is not the same energy that a Travis Kelce would bring to a situation. And there's a place for both. because Gronk has found success outside of the NFL. But I'm curious, do you think it's going to be a similar trajectory, or are you seeing potentially bigger things for Travis Kelce, given what we've seen so far?
I think for Travis Kelce, I think it'll be bigger. I think his personality, his delivery is more sustainable than Gronk. Like with Gronk, you alluded to the bigger than life personality. Like I look at Gronk, and I know he's a grown man, but you kind of get that feeling like you're at a frat party, right? It's just a long, extended frat party, and everything is actually very over the top, and exaggerated. And so I don't doubt that you'll see Gronk in more commercials and different spots like that. But I look at Travis Kelce, and I feel like he aspires to be more than that. It wouldn't shock me if he were taking acting classes and he wanted to be an action hero or something of that nature, or he's already started off with a bang in media with his podcast with his brother. I think that brand will build. I think Travis Kelce he has a personality to where he can build a brand with his brother and expand upon that by himself, a lot like Shannon Sharpe has done with his brand. So I think the sky's the limit for Travis Kelce, because I think he has the kind of personality, like I said, Gronk can be a lot for some people. I think Travis has the kind of personality that will draw you in more over the long period of time.
Mo, last night, Patrick Mahomes was asked a bunch of questions, obviously being the starting quarterback of the Kansas City Chiefs, and being, on that path to greatness that some have already put him on, that some have already put him as the leader of, but that is neither here nor there. But one of the questions that he was asked last night was about playing the role of villain, because with greatness comes a lot of hatred if you are not the quarterback of the team that everyone else is rooting for. So if you are not a Kansas City Chiefs fan, just like if you were not a New England Patriots fan, you probably don't like Patrick Mahomes very much, the same way you probably didn't like Tom Brady very much. That's how sports work. You love your guy, you hate everybody else, and then hopefully at some point down the road, if the guy you hated was great enough, you can at least say, I respected him, while also still acknowledging I didn't like him, but I respect what he's accomplished.
Welcome to my world.
But Patrick Mahomes was asked about playing the role of villain, and I thought his response was interesting because there aren't a lot of people in the NFL or in any major sports who are, I would say, the face of the league in many ways that would lean into that. And his response was, I can be that villain if they need me to be. Basically saying, I don't have an issue with that. If you need somebody to hate, I'll be the guy you need to hate. If you need someone to be upset about, I'll be that guy. I don't care if you don't like me. I don't care if you hate me. I got it. I'm going to embrace it, and I'm going to push forward. And I know some people are listening and saying, no, Chris. Everyone like that. Everyone in that big limelight is that way. And I will say, no, you're wrong. Because LeBron isn't. LeBron might be one of the greatest athletes in the history of the world, Mo.
No question.
He doesn't like being hated. He doesn't like being the villain. We've seen LeBron at various times in his career try to embrace the villain, right? When he went to Miami, not one, not two, he tried, but it didn't work. He couldn't do it for a sustained period of time because he needs to be better than Michael. And Michael was beloved. Michael still is beloved. And you are not going to be better than Michael Jordan if you are widely hated by all. So LeBron, although he found himself in the villain role a few times, he never leaned into it, Mo. He always kind of stayed neutral. Yes, there are times where LeBron will say some things and you're kind of look side-eye at him, but LeBron's never embraced villain.
No.
If you look at it, if you look across sports and you look at those major names and the ones that were a face of a franchise or the face of a league for an extended period of time, there are very few that embrace the villain role. Sure, Draymond Green embraces being a villain. Draymond Green is not the face of the Warriors.
No,
Draymond
he's
Green is
not.
not the face of the NBA. It's different. Role players, or even talented and skilled and important number 2 or 3 players, there's tons of them that have embraced the villain role because someone needs to do it usually on a team, right?
Right.
And it's usually not the guy who is out in front. It's usually not the guy who is in all the commercials. That's usually, I mean, Subway, T-Mobile. I'm sure there's 8 or 10 other ones. State Farm that Patrick Mahomes is a part of. That guy isn't usually coming out and pulling Christian Bale's Batman from The Dark Knight. I'll be what you need me to be.
Right.
Like, you don't see that very often. Mo, I'm here for it. I like it because at the end of the day, Patrick knows what it's about. It's about winning championships. And if en route to doing that, and if en route to being maybe the greatest quarterback of all time, because you could argue he's kind of halfway there. If the first half of his career mirrors what the second half is going to be, he's there, right? Like he's taking the first 6 or 7 steps. If the next 6 or 7 are the same, he's probably the greatest quarterback of all time.
No doubt.
So knowing where he's going and knowing what he's accomplished, for him to be like, I'm good. You do what you need to do. I will be what you need me to be. I'm all here for it, Mo.
I love his confidence. And I know that the way he thinks is I don't need the other NFL franchises or their fan bases to love me. I've got Chief Nation behind me, right? Chiefs Kingdom behind me. And those are the only fan bases are the only fan base I need behind me. I think Patrick Mahomes is comfortable enough in himself where he's like, you can boo me and I'm going to come into your building and then I'm going to silence you.
Right.
You know what I mean? I'm at the end of the day, you're going to look at me and ask why your guy couldn't do what I could do in your house. That is a confidence that very few athletes have in terms of embracing being booed, embracing being the bad guy. I think Tom Brady, to a degree, embraced it. If you, like you said, if you weren't a New England Patriot fan because they won so much, 9 times out of 10, you rooted for whoever they played against. Even if you weren't a fan of that team, you're like, just beat them. Just beat the Patriots.
That was the narrative. Who are you rooting for? Whoever the Patriots are playing against.
Right. It did not matter. You just wanted to make sure New England didn't get to the Super Bowl. And I think Tom Brady completely embraced being the bad guy, and he took great pleasure in going on the road and destroying the hearts of fan bases. More so even in the Super Bowl. Look, all Super Bowl losses hurt, but I think the one that stands out the most would be what they did to the Atlanta Falcons. Because of the lead that Atlanta had, the situation that Atlanta had. I watched that game. I know you watched that game, and I'm sure you talked about it after the fact. And I came away thinking like, and this will get too deep into the game. If they ran the ball, if Atlanta ran the ball and they went 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out, they would have won the game.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like if you just ran the ball and if you had the second half that the Kansas City Chiefs had versus the Ravens, you would have won the game.
Yeah.
And I take nothing away from the greatness of Tom Brady because he does have to make those drives, make those throws. But Atlanta was a willing assistant.
Mo, I hate to say this to you, but it's your team's fault that Patrick Mahomes is the way he is right now. And let me tell you why. All right. Before the loss to the San Francisco 49ers, which Patrick Mahomes has said is one of the biggest reasons, okay? One of his biggest things that he holds near and dear to him. Let me tell you about what his life looked like, okay? He's got, what has he got? 17. My guy's got 17 playoff starts, okay? You ready for this? 17. His first 11 playoff games. 8-3. It's pretty good, right? 8-3.
Absolutely, yeah.
It's pretty good. 8-3. 66 completion percentage. 336 yards per game. 28 touchdowns. 7 picks. So a 4-to-1 touchdown ratio. In the playoffs, it's kind of ridiculous. It's kind of a ridiculous number. Passer rating 105.7. He was sacked 27 times. So if you look at those numbers, 8-3 in his first 11 playoff games, I think the only thing you could really look at is, Patrick, what's going on? You're getting hit a lot, right? 27 sacks in 11 games, it's like 2.5 sacks a game. You might want to get that number down a little bit. Fair?
It's fair, but you also got to realize he's the kind of guy that extends plays, right?
Correct. Look at his last 6 playoff games. He's 6-0 in his last 6 playoff games, including the AFC Championship win against the Ravens last week. In those 6 games, his completion percentage is 70%. His yards per game has dropped tremendously, 336 to 259. His touchdown to interception ratio, 11-0. He has no interceptions in 6 straight playoff games, averaging almost 2 touchdowns a playoff game. Passer rating is up to 107.6, up about by 2 points. And then his sacks, he's been sacked 5 times in his last 6 playoff games. Patrick Mahomes, after 11 playoff appearances, decided it's not working the way I want it to. I'm getting sacked too much. I'm taking too many risks with the football. 7 turnovers in 11 games. Every other game in the playoffs, I'm throwing picks. I can't do that. He completely changed how he plays playoff football. And you can see it in his yards. He doesn't pass as much. He's not taking the deep shots down the field. And sure, you can look at his last couple of playoff games and be like, well, Tyreek Hill is gone. Half of these games, Tyreek Hill wasn't gone. He's not taking the deep shots down the field because, he knows he doesn't have to. He knows that if he cleans up his game personally just a little bit, if he stops taking the 50-50 ball 3 times a game, which, 2 out of 3 times works, and the other time it might get picked, it might get knocked down. If he takes a couple less sacks, if he just gets rid of the football or he dumps it off, and instead of looking for maybe the 30-yard strike down the field, which might be there 10% of the time, he says, I'll take the 3-yard play 90% of the time. Just by doing that, look at his numbers in the last 6 playoff games. You're seeing the transition of an elite player all on his own doing. All on him saying, listen, I realized that maybe I was being a little loose with the football while he was winning championships, mind you. It's not like they were failing and coming up short and he wasn't having playoff success. He was just turning the ball over a little too much. And it's completely changed. That's incredible to me. You have players out there who are told time and time again, man, if he would just get rid of the ball a little bit faster, right? Like, that's why you're getting sacked this much. Or, man, he gets to the playoffs and he uses his feet too much. He needs to just sit in the pocket, read the defense, be comfortable. And that's stuff to get them to the next level. That's not stuff where they're already maintaining success. He's already there. He's already doing it. And he's looking at it and being like, nah, I can be better. And then he is.
Right.
That's unique, Mo. That's unique.
I think that Patrick Mahomes is a bigger student of the game than he lets on.
Than we realize.
Because I think that you look at what Tom Brady did. Now, and Brady did this more in the second half of his career. He would dink and dunk you to death. And then when you came up, he took the big shots down the field. And I'm looking at what Patrick Mahomes does. And what he's doing is he's saying, I don't have the firepower to always get into a shootout. He's learned how to manipulate games, Chris, like you said.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, I can win games 21-17 or 17-10. He's found ways where I can control the clock, manipulate games, and set my defense up for success by being very methodical and picking and choosing when to run, because he'll take off sometimes. And the great thing about him is every time he takes off, it's not a 15-yard scramble. It's something as simple as, instead of taking a 3-yard loss, it's a 5-yard gain. And it seems little, but it's actually huge in the bigger picture. He's become that smart, that excellent in situational football. And like you said, he did it on his own. He was making those decisions. He was making that transition when Tyreek Hill was still part of their team. And you would think with Tyreek Hill, everything is a big shot down the field. And it wasn't always the case. And maybe this offseason, they might go out and get a big name receiver or whatever. I don't think that's going to change his approach to football. He'll take an occasional shot here and there, but I think he likes the ability to control games, and he does it so methodically, very much like Brady. It's impressive. It's impressive because he's figured it out, and he's not 30. That's kind of crazy that he's, you know what I mean? Like, I saw the progression of Marino. I saw it from Elway, Montana. They got better, obviously, but they really figured it out when they were in their early 30s or hit 30. This guy's already there, and that's kind of scary.
And Mo, you mentioned Brady. That's literally what it is. You look at the New England Patriots. Look at the final scores of so many of those games. They were one-score games, and they were situational games where, yeah, it was a one-score game, but did you ever really feel like your team was in control? Did you ever really feel like your team was going to beat Tom Brady? Because what would happen? It would be a methodical game. It would be close the entire game. And then the final 2 minutes, Tom has the ball, and you know what's going to happen. And maybe it's not the final 2 minutes. Maybe it's the final 8 minutes. And Tom has the ball, and it's a tie game, or they're down a score. And what does he do? He takes 7.5 minutes off the clock.
Right.
And they go and punch it in for a touchdown, or they go and kick a go-ahead field goal. And you're sitting here like, I felt pretty good 8 minutes ago. And now, 14 plays, 71 yards. We couldn't stop them on 5 third downs.
And they kill you.
Right.
They kill you. Guys like Mahomes and Brady, they kill you on third down. You're feeling great. Your crowd is roaring. It's 3rd and 8. You got them. And they kill you on third down. They make the throw, or they'll run. It's an amazing thing. Brady is not a scrambler, but you don't know how many times I've seen him break character and rush for an 8 or 10 yard first down. Like that's what separates guys like that. They win on third down when it matters most. And I don't care how elite your defense is. I think the defense feels more pressure than the other way around. Like you said, if we're up 1 and Brady gets the ball with 6 minutes left, I'm feeling good, but I'm not comfortable. I'm not comfortable at all. Or it works the other way around. You score. But then even the announcer said, well, they left 2 minutes on the clock.
Right.
Oh no. Oh no.
And Mo, that's such a part of it, because if you are driving late in the game against Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs, that has to be in the back of your mind. When do we want to score? Usually the mentality is score, go take the lead. Right. Not when you're playing Patrick, because if you score with 1.5 minutes to go, if you're Buffalo and you score with 16 seconds to go, it's too much time. That's too much time to give Patrick Mahomes. So the only way to be safe is to make sure that your score is the final play of the game.
Right.
And how often does that work out? Rarely ever.
Very rare.
So it's so interesting to think about. Mo,
you're not helping me feel better about the Super Bowl, by the way. But keep talking.
We'll talk more San Francisco during the week. We can't not talk about Kadrius Toney. In case you didn't know, he is still a Kansas City Chief. And I don't know who asked this question. I want to shake their hand, whoever it was. But Kadrius Toney was asked point blank, do you see yourself as a number one receiver in the NFL? And Mo, the answer isn't going to surprise you. I know it's not. His response to that was, yeah, if I get the ball. If you catch the ball.
Yeah,
if you hang on to the ball.
Right.
Because you gotta make the catch first, right, Mo?
Right.
Right.
Or then you're just basically just running down the field for cardio. But yeah.
Correct. Got it. Do you like the confidence? The I can overcome attitude? Like, I guess it's a lose-lose situation, right? Because if you ask Toney, hey, do you see yourself as a number one? And he gives the honest answer, which is, I've had a terrible season. I've hurt my team more than I've helped my team. My attitude kind of sucks. Like, if he gives you that answer, you're like, well, damn, why are you still here? So he can't give that answer. So I guess he has to give the answer of course I see myself as the number one option. I just need more opportunities to prove it. But at the same time, I feel that's the wrong answer too, Mo, because that's not even a logical thing to say. You've had opportunities and you've been awful. So I don't know. I don't have the right answer.
I think the right answer is, I if given the opportunities, I think I can make plays. I think I
like that. That's good.
If you give me opportunity to make plays, I think I have the ability to make plays. I think I actually think that's an honest assessment of Kadrius Toney. Look, he has everything you would need to be a very good receiver, except he's not a very good receiver. Do you know what I mean? Like, he might be a monster in practice, but when it counts the most, between the lines, not so much. But I love his confidence, because if he said, no, I'm actually more like a number 4, and really they're going to have me on punt coverage most of the time, then not only is that bad going forward, that's bad going forward if you are auditioning for the other teams. They're like, this guy only sees himself as like a 4. Like, we could draft a 4. But you might be right in the sense that he said it so matter-of-factly, if I get the ball. Like as if he wasn't going to Travis so much, I'm open every other play. Right. I think that's look good for him, but he has to know that Rice is actually their best wide receiver,
hands down.
It's not even close. And
I would argue Pacheco is their second best wide receiver.
Right. I was going to go the other running back too, but right.
I mean, technically third, because obviously Kelce's first, but I would argue Kelce, Rice, Pacheco are their three top weapons catching the football.
And I'd be right there with you, and I will say that it will play out that way when the game commences. Patrick Mahomes knows who he can trust, and that's another thing. When you say, if I get the ball, if you get the ball, you have to earn the trust of your quarterback, which he has given you opportunity after opportunity. And at some point, Patrick Mahomes has to go, I have to think about winning the football game, and I can't build this guy up. He's either a playmaker or he's not a playmaker. So far, he's proven to be an anti-playmaker. So,
Mo, let's be honest. If this was Aaron Rodgers, Toney would not have seen another ball after week 1.
No.
I mean, right? Am I wrong?
No.
You drop those 2 or 3 balls week 1 with Aaron Rodgers, you're not seeing a ball the rest of the season. So be thankful that Mahomes was your quarterback and he kept coming back to you until he was probably told by the play callers, we can't keep going there. We're just not going to play him. We're not going to put him on the field, because Patrick, you keep doing this thing where you're throwing to open people, and when it goes his way, bad things happen. So we're just going to not put him on the field because we can't keep doing this.
Or they might put him on the field and they just have him run like a 9 route to clear out the safety or whatever. But the play, they just want him to run, right? Like we just want you to get the safeties to react, but we're not throwing it to you. Even if you're open, we're not throwing it to you. Like, you never want to come down too hard on an athlete. Obviously, he has worked hard enough to be in the NFL, be an NFL player. 2 franchises thought enough of him to give him an opportunity to play. So obviously the talent is there. And maybe his biggest flaw is his weaknesses might be all between his ears. It might be a lack of focus or something of that nature. And I get it. It's Super Bowl week. Somebody asks you a question like that. You're not going to say like, well, no, of course I'm not a number one receiver. Have you been watching me? He's not going to say that. He's got a family. And I'm sure people that root for him. So I don't mind the confidence. And look, I hope the young man gets an opportunity to play on Sunday because it's a big thing to participate in a Super Bowl. Do I want him to play well? No.
Mo, who sees more snaps on Sunday? Kadrius Toney or Chase Young?
Ooh. I'm gonna say Chase Young. I am. I'm gonna say Chase Young, but that's a good one.
Right?
That's a good one.
Two players with a lot to prove and the biggest stage to prove it on. So
right.
If they get the opportunity, hopefully both of them take advantage of the opportunity. Well, let's talk a little bit about Mike Vrabel and the offensive coordinator for the Detroit Lions, Ben Johnson. So Ben Johnson was obviously the most talked about name during the NFL season this year in regards to who is going to get the bump and who is going to go from coordinator to their first head coaching role. His name was continuously talked about. He was tied to a handful of different teams.
Deservedly so.
And then with Mike Vrabel, most people were surprised by his firing from Tennessee. But after his firing from Tennessee, the narrative around Mike Vrabel was he's going to find another job, and he's probably going to find it pretty quickly because of what he did with the Tennessee Titans. Well, fast forward a couple of weeks, Ben Johnson is still the offensive coordinator for the Detroit Lions. He decided not to take on any head coaching opportunities, or maybe he wasn't offered any head coaching opportunities. We'll discuss that in a moment. And then Vrabel is currently without a coaching job, as there wasn't much traction after all in regards to him being a head coach for this upcoming season. Now we find out some background information. According to sources within the NFL, Mike Vrabel apparently intimidated. That's right, I said it. He intimidated GMs based on his stature and his personality. And apparently that was a turnoff for the GMs that he did interview with for head coaching roles for next season. Mo, I don't know if that is a great reflection of you as a general manager in the NFL. I understand that Mike Vrabel is a big man. I understand that, right? I also understand that Mike Vrabel is a very loud and boisterous man. But how is that going to intimidate you? Like, what are we scared? Are you scared of him? Are you scared he's going to break you in half? Because he probably could. He probably could break you in half.
No doubt.
Like, is that what it is? You're afraid you're going to be discussing draft picks and you're going to be like, well, Vrabes, we're going to go this way. And he's going to be like, Vrabes, smash.
Right.
Breaking table. Like, is that what you're intimidated by?
See, you had that version of it. And I had the other version of it where he walks in like he's a mafia enforcer. Do you know what I mean? He walks in and he starts making demands like this is how it's gonna go. You know what I mean? Like and the GM is sitting there like, well, actually we've got some other candidates. No, there's no other candidates. This is the candidate. Like it's that kind of thing. Like the idea that you say intimidates, they make it seem like Vrabel snatching people up by the collar. Like you'll hire me and you'll make it be known to everybody today.
And you'll give me your lunch money right now.
Right. Yeah. I just thought like I'm trying to get this vision of a GM kind of cowering in his desk, like calling for his assistant to come in to be a witness, like Mr. Vrabel, could you leave and can we get security up here on the 5th floor? Like that's a bad look that you're interviewing someone and you were scared of them.
Right. And I get it. Like, and maybe intimidated, and I didn't say intimidated. That's the report. So maybe the report of using the word intimidated is the wrong word to use.
Maybe.
I don't mind if you're saying things like, we were put off by his demeanor. We were a little put off by his personality because he does have a loud and boisterous type of personality. If those things rub you the wrong way, fine. because if the personality of the GM and the head coach don't mix, then there's obviously going to be issues.
Right.
So if you're not looking for a big rah in your face kind of guy, okay, then Vrabel probably isn't your dude. But for the report to be he was intimidating, his presence was intimidating during the interviewing rounds, I look at that, Mo, and I'm like, what are we talking? He's too big. He's too big.
He walked in the room, and we were all scared to death. Like
right.
Maybe word it differently. Just say you could say he has an imposing presence, and it made them uncomfortable. I don't know. There's so many things going on. If he's imposing or he's intimidating, what does that say about Eric Bieniemy when he interviews? Like, they're not scared of him, obviously, because the room. I've heard Bieniemy walked in and we all cowered and gave him our money. I've never heard that one. Obviously, not a great salesman. The coaching carousel in the NFL is so entertaining. I thought easily Mike Vrabel would already have a job right now. I did. Even if it wasn't a head coaching job, I thought somebody would go, well, he can be a DC, right? He can be our DC maybe for a year or so till another opportunity comes up. It's strange to me that Mike Vrabel is without a job because he's intimidating in an interview. And if multiple GMs say this, what is he doing? Is he walking? You know what I mean? Is he walking in there with cut off sleeves, showing the tats off or whatever? Like, what is happening in those interviews?
Did someone in his circle be like, "Listen, Mike, I got it. What you're gonna blow them away when you go in there. Just take over the room. Go like Gronk times 50. Add a little Hulk Hogan to it.
That's a lot.
And you're gonna a little Ultimate Warrior, and you're gonna be great. They're gonna love you." And he's like, "Yeah, I am gonna do that."
You know what? I know what it is. This is why he's not getting hired. He added some LA Knight. I'm not hiring that guy either. Yeah, no, we don't want you.
So Vrabel is too intimidating. Ben Johnson, on the other hand, apparently he doesn't interview well, Mo. The classic, he doesn't interview well. That is according to inside sources with the Washington Commanders. But what's interesting is that came out after it came out from Ben's side that he wasn't really impressed with the football IQ of the basketball ownership.
Oh, that's right. Yep.
That is currently in charge of the Washington Commanders. Apparently, during the interview process, Ben walked away from it seeing them as basketball guys and not necessarily football guys. And that is why he turned cold on the Washington opportunity, which makes it look like he turned them down. And of course, Washington can't make it look like they were turned down. So then immediately the reports come out, well, he didn't really interview well. It wasn't a great interview for him. Mo, can it be a good interview if halfway through the head coach doesn't really think you're football people?
No. Here's the thing about the Commanders and what they've assembled. They've assembled a bunch of really smart and successful guys. We can agree with that.
They have.
But if you're not a football guy, you can't talk to a football guy about football. You really can't. Bob Myers he was successful with the Warriors in putting together that team. That's not quite the same thing, though, where you're dealing with the NFL and the nuances of the NFL, right? Because it's 11 men in the field at all time, and everybody's got a particular role to play. As successful as he's been, as Magic Johnson has been, and the rest of that group, where are the football guys in your group? Because I feel like in that interview, Johnson might have walked in there and they were trying to talk football, and he was sitting there like, "What the hell are you talking about?"
Bob Myers pulls out the board. How's my Steph? This is my Klay. And Ben's like, "Guy, you only got 5 people up there."
Right.
There's 11 on each side. Where are the other 6?
Right. they mean well, and I think they've assembled a good team. But if they wanted to have a great team, you need football minds as part of your team. And if you're going to interview a coach, I think your football guys need to be in the room. That way that they can understand him, he can understand them, they can have that dialogue. He there's a I wasn't in the room, but I feel like Johnson walked away like, I'm not feeling good about this situation. Like I think I'll pass. Like, so it didn't, the vibe, it wasn't right. And now everybody's saving face saying like, well, he wasn't a good fit or he didn't interview well. And that's a term that I'd like more clarification, to use the JJ Redick line. Like, what do you mean when you say he didn't interview well? Like he didn't seem like he knew the X's and O's or the nuances of the game or a vision for your franchise, or what do you mean by that? Like, because I've heard that said about Bieniemy as well. And I just need to know for clarification, what is he didn't was he nervous? Was he giving short one-word answers? I'm just look, some guys are great public speakers and some guys are great at selling themselves. I know Pete Carroll can go into a room right now today and sell himself, even though he's over 70, because he has the acumen, he has the confidence and bravado to walk into like you said, he can own a room. He's got that kind of personality. Not every coach has that outgoing personality. I look at Eric Bieniemy. I don't know the man, but he seems like somebody who's more of an introvert. He knows the intricacies of the game. He can talk to his quarterback on a one-on-one level, get with the other guys, and he works that way. I don't know if he's the kind of personality that can walk into a room and entertain you if you need to be entertained. And maybe Johnson's the same way. He's a football guy, not an entertainer, not a great seller of himself.
Apparently Vrabel isn't either.
Well, you're not going to sell yourself and you're scaring everybody. So no, you can't walk in the room like you work for the East Side Mob and your nickname is Vic the Macareno or something. Like, you can't do that. But yeah, I would say this is a loss for the Commanders, because I think Johnson is one of the bright minds in football right now, and that they couldn't make that work. I think that's a swing and a miss for the Commanders.
Well, the Commanders also lose out on Eric Bieniemy, which is obviously their own doing. They bring in Cliff Kingsbury to be the offensive coordinator, which we assumed would be the end of Bieniemy's time in Washington, but that was confirmed earlier this week. He will not be with the team next year, which means, Mo, he currently does not have a job. Right. So it's an interesting NFL world when you say things like Eric Bieniemy, currently without a job. Mike Vrabel, currently without a job. Bill Belichick, currently without a job.
Right.
All three want jobs, I would assume, next season. All three currently don't have any. So very
crazy.
Interesting to think about. All right, let's go here. We got some WWE stuff to talk about. I teased it yesterday when the show ended. We're going to get to it right now. We had Monday Night Raw last night. WWE, Mo, is in some hot water because it appears that they are going to give The Rock's WrestleMania spot, or excuse me, Cody Rhodes' WrestleMania spot to The Rock. Cody Rhodes came out on SmackDown on Friday, basically told Roman he's coming for him. He's coming for his title. He's just not doing it at WrestleMania. And then, of course, The Rock comes down. They have their little stare-off. And it looks like we're setting up Rock Roman at WrestleMania. Maybe we'll get Cody and Roman at Elimination Chamber. Maybe we'll get Cody and Roman after WrestleMania. That looked like the direction we were going on Friday. And then the wrestling world revolted. And when I say revolted, Mo, I am not being hyperbolic. Just go and look at the videos on YouTube that WWE has posted of that segment with The Rock and Roman Reigns. They're averaging about 10 to 11,000 likes and 400 to 500,000 dislikes. The wrestling world is not happy with Cody not main eventing WrestleMania. If it was a co-main event, if it was Rock Roman one night, Cody Roman another night, I think they would be okay. But bumping Cody off of the card altogether when it comes to fighting Roman and having him go against Seth or do something else is not making people happy. Now let's pivot to Monday Night Raw last night. Obviously, WWE heard all about this over the weekend, and then apparently Monday night, they decided to lean into it a little bit because as fans were bringing in signs in support of Cody last night on Raw, WWE also decided to make signs and hand them out to fans saying hashtag we want Cody, which means that WWE is acknowledging this push for Cody Rhodes to be in the main event at WrestleMania and wrestle Roman Reigns. Here is where I lie, Mo. Keep in mind, and this could all change on Thursday, because on Thursday we are going to have the WrestleMania press conference in Las Vegas, which means that we are bound to find out potentially some other stuff. So on Thursday, it very well could be announced officially The Rock versus Roman Reigns WrestleMania. We also don't know what Cody is doing. Seth Rollins is still trying to get Cody to come challenge him for his title. Last night on Raw, Seth basically said, I need this. I need to prove that I'm better than you. You've beaten me 3 times since you've come back to WWE. Here I am as the World Heavyweight Champion, and I've never beaten you. I need this for my career. Interesting take. But we don't know if that's the route Cody's going to go, because then in the same segment, you have Drew McIntyre come out and he cleans house, and it looks like he's trying to assert himself into that feud. So we don't really know what they're doing with Cody. Those waters are still murky. But Mo, I say this, because we don't know for sure one way or the other, don't be pissed off until it plays out. Let's see what actually happens. Because I go back to, and we've talked about this before, I go back to Roman Reigns and Paul Heyman talking about how the story is closer to the beginning than it is to the end.
Correct.
And they've been wanting The Rock to face Roman for a hot minute now. And that was well before all the Cody Rhodes stuff started picking up steam. So it makes sense that they get the Rock stuff out of the way first if they wanted that to be the original part of the plan, an original chapter in this story, because the Cody stuff can happen at a later time. I know fans are upset about it, but let's think logically for a minute. The Rock is in his early 50s. Maybe they said putting the Rock off for a year wasn't in the best positioning for everyone involved. What's The Rock's movie career going to look like a year from now? What's The Rock's health going to look like a year from now? If it all lines up now, why roll the dice and see where we are a year from now? Because don't forget, WWE wanted this a year ago. Last year, they wanted The Rock. It didn't work out. This year, it's lining up to look like it can work out. So why push it off a year and roll the dice? Because God forbid that didn't work out. Now where are we? That being said, it hasn't been confirmed yet. Let's wait. Let's see what happens. Let's wait until they say Rock and Roman WrestleMania, Cody and Seth WrestleMania, Cody and Roman eliminate. Wait until they actually confirm matches. I understand we're all upset because it looks like it's going a certain way, but looks can be deceiving. We don't really know where we are yet. We just know where we're leaning towards. So for me, I want to see it play out. I want to see matches actually announced. I want to see, does Cody actually fight Roman at Elimination Chamber? And if he does, what happens? Because I'm not giving up on this idea that The Rock aligns himself at some point with Roman Reigns. Maybe what we talked about last time, Mo, does happen, but it happens in a truncated 9-week period. Maybe The Rock screws Cody at WrestleMania.
Right.
And then a few weeks later, he turns on Roman and they have the WrestleMania match. I wouldn't write it that way. I think 8 or 9 weeks is not enough time to do all that, but we don't know. And that's my point. Why are we killing everybody? I mean, wrestling fans, you will always be given credit for things that you pull out of your back pocket. And the die, Rocky, die chants last night were very 1996-esque. I get it. It was kind of humorous on the surface that you were digging into your bag of tricks from 30 years ago and reviving the die, Rocky, die chants. But again, Mo, nothing has officially been named. So can't we just wait and then get mad later?
Right. And it's storytelling, right? That's the whole thing. It's storytelling. And the great thing about wrestling is they are aware of the reactions from their fans. You don't think they can easily go in there and change the story? That's the great thing about wrestling. The story hasn't been told yet or written out. And even when it's written out and we're all like, this is how it's going to line up, there will always be a plot twist.
Right.
There always will be. And that's the best part. You guys have to let it play out. They very well, as we're talking now, they could be making adjustments. And then when they think those are set in stone, somebody comes up with an even better idea and there's a plot twist. I like the idea that I don't know what's going to happen. I know what I think is going to happen, but I've been wrong many times, especially when it comes to professional wrestling. They have a great pulse. I trust Triple H and his team. So I would just tell everybody, I'm listening to what you pointed out, to what Roman said, and that's what I'm holding on to, because I really think that he was kind of giving you an idea of things to come, that it's just beginning. And I think when he says it's just beginning, this is something that's going to play out over time. And yes, The Rock may very well screw Cody, and it makes total sense to me that at some point he will be the head of the table. That doesn't mean he'll wear the belt. Reigns will still be the champion, but I think Rock will be the head of the table, and that makes for entertaining storytelling. So I'm like you. I'm not outraged or upset because it's not etched in stone. The matches haven't all been set at all. So until that happens, I would just tell most wrestling fans, calm down a little bit. They'll work something out to your liking. Just pause. Calm down.
We're 3.5 years into this story. They're not gonna rush it to, like, you know what I mean? Like, why 3.5 years in? Why do we think now it's just gonna blow up and be terrible? Like, you came along this long, you wrote it out this long. Just see what happens next, and then react after it happens. That's all I'm asking. Let it happen, and then react. We got 60 seconds left here, Mo. I want to hit on a couple of NBA things. First of all, the Bucks and the Mavs are talking about a trade. Bobby Portis and a Grant Williams swap. What are your thoughts on that?
That's interesting. Grant Williams a bit more of a 3-and-D guy. Bobby Portis, he's a big who can give you buckets on the perimeter and in the post, a solid defender. If you just do a straight-up swap, I can see where both those moves help both those teams.
Any issue with Klay Thompson being benched for the final 7.5 minutes of the Warriors' victory last night?
No. Klay's been a great player, Chris, but look, he's not all-star Klay anymore, right? And I think that there's a role for Klay Thompson going forward in his career, but it's not as a star, not anymore.
It's a tough pill to swallow.
It is. It is. And I know the kind of competitor that he is, because he's thinking like, me and Steph, we did all this together. And now that you're still doing it together. You're just doing it in a different role. And look, there will be nights where Klay Thompson is going to drop 30 and 35.
For sure.
But there will also be nights when he goes 4 for 19. That's where we're at in Klay Thompson's career.
All right, Mo, close us out, sir.
Thank you guys so much in the chat. Thank you for joining Chris and I this morning. Check out all the great content we have to offer for you on Sports Empire Network. Check out the Empire.
Make sure you're back here same time, same place tomorrow. Will be joining us to talk some NBA stuff. Gene will be here from Wire to Wire to talk some NFL stuff. All of that and more. Coffee and Sports. It's the morning show powered by Sports Empire Network, and we will see you in the morning.
I mean, you can see right now, without LeBron, Lakers are struggling.
Let me tell you about a team I hate, all right? I know the Dallas Cowboy fan is here, so I had to make sure he knew how much I hate this team.
I'm ready.
I've often said that the people who run baseball, they try very hard to ruin it.
I'm from Brooklyn. I don't have a problem saying it to his face. Oh, I'm from Brooklyn. Hey, you guys any